It's really good. It's really good. I like this a lot. I gotta be honest, I like this a lot. I need dope. 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 I like mother sugar and yo hysteria. Let me do a line on your ass. I like mother sugar and yo hysteria. Let me do a line on your ass. I'm gonna go with the chat and leave that in first place for today. That's first place.
Hi everyone, I'm Nolas, and I won Season 3 for the semifinals of the Can You Beat Battles, and first off I'm just going to show you the original sample.
Ain't no way.
My grandma was a crackhead, so my mom was a crack baby. So what does that make me? A crack baby's baby! I want crack! I like hard drugs. I like heroin. I need dope. I like booger sugar and yo dysphoria. Let me do a line off your ass. It's chaos. I'm out of here. I'm about to go do some drugs.
So moving on to what I did with the sample, I first started out with a chop like this.
I need dope. I need dope. Oh, I need dope. I need dope. Oh, I need dope.
And then for the next 8 bars I did this chop.
Oh, I like booger sugar and yo dysphoria. Let me do a line off your ass. Oh, I like.
And to remove all the low, and I just put a high pass at around 300 hertz. And for the part of the vocals that delay, I just added free delay 3 with another EQ that does the same thing. And I put it on a separate track because I don't want it to collide with the other parts of the vocals. And I put the ping pong delay effect with this delay time, this level, and this wetness. Going on to the melodies, I'll first start out with these chords that I made. And then to make these chords, I essentially just drew in the pattern and then I selected all and pressed Alt S. And this allowed me to do this strumizer thing that allows me to change the velocities as well as when the note is timed. And to make these chords, I used 3x oscillator and I had all the chorus knobs at 24. I brought out the noise filter by using this weird button right here, as well as used high quality. And I have this volume envelope that has a small attack and a small release. So next I have this sound right here. For this sound, I have everything at 24 with a nice saw wave and a sine wave, and I have no attack with a little bit of release. And it would have made sense to click this high quality knob because there's a little bit of weird frequencies in the background, but it's fine. So on that same sound, I added fruity chorus on top of it so it sounded more full because without it, it would just sound like this. Now along with those other melodies, I have this pluck playing in the background. To make the sound, I brought out Fruity DX10 with no attack and a little bit of release, and I messed with the coarse and init knobs on the modulation 1 to get the sound that I made. I added Fruity chorus to this sound as well, and one thing to note is if you want the sound to stay centered, then you should bring the stereo knob to 0 degrees. I also have this nice saw sound here. For this sound, I use Serum, and you can see I use these waves along with a little bit of detuning on both. And one thing to note is I added chorus and the compressor, but the chorus is what sort of gets this sound the most since I have the chorus at the maximum mix along with the low pass filter being pretty high. Without it, it would sound like this. But then with it, it sounds like this. Next, I have this nice delay sound right here. For this sound, I have another 3x OSC with everything at 24 chorus knob. I have a little bit of attack and release. And of course I use Fruity Delay 3 to get that delay effect, and I have this ping pong effect as well, along with these level knobs and wet knobs. And also for the delay sound, I have it so the delay mix level goes up based on an automation clip, and the volume also goes up based on an automation clip. And for the final layer, I added these chords. To make this sound, I use Serum, and I have basically just basic sine waves. I added this cutoff filter that plays on an LFO. And to do that, you can use mod source, then click LFO1 and make the LFO however you want it to be. And I also added this chorus effect, so it sounds less. I also added this chorus effect, which does the same thing as the last chorus effect on Serum, where I have the mix level all the way up. And it's just so it sounds less sharp and more sort of in the back, because without it would sound like this. And for the bass, I got this really nice 808. So I just realized that for my 808 right here specifically, it's playing twice, and that's not because of the pattern right here. It's because I have separated the pattern in the actual file. If you're wondering where that 808's from, it's from Oswell's Sample Pack Volume 1. So this is what everything sounds like all together. So for the next 8 bars, I added this sound, but it's also kind of embarrassing because the last 3 chords are out of tune and sound really dissonant because these bass notes right here. But I feel like it actually worked really well for the end of the song, and it sounded like this. And to make these chords, I just used these waves and I pretty much kept everything default, and then I added some chorus to it. So on top of those chords, I have this melody. And these last 2 notes aren't played because I end up cutting them out in the pattern here. And the sound used was basically the same thing as the chords that were shown before. And finally, for these 8 bars, I have this last sound, which is sort of this plucky saw wave sound. It sounds like this. So to make the sound, I use a sine wave along with the Debussy, and there is no other things added here. Everything's just default. And here to remove the low ones, I put a high pass at 266 Hertz. And all together, it sounds like this. Now we can move on to the drums and percs, so I'll just play all the sounds that I used here. And here are all the drum sounds together for the first half of the song, and I'm also going to add the 808 along with it. If you did like a good amount of the perk sounds that I used, let's say a good amount of them were from the Castra Sounds Volume 1 kit, and it's seen in the first half as well as the second half of the song, so I really do heavily recommend it so you can get some really nice drum sounds. And I'll leave a link to the drum pack below in the description. So when it comes to adding perks and drum sounds into my beats, I look for like little pockets that I feel like should be filled to fill out some of the empty space, but then also leave some empty space, so it's like a lot harder when the next set of perks end up coming in. So now we can put all the sounds together and it will end up sounding like this.
I need dope. I need dope. I need dope. I need dope. I need.
Also, something to note about the mix is that I have everything connected to this one sidechain channel that's on the right side, and it has a fruity limiter on it. On the fruity limiter, it routes the sidechain to the kick, so every time the kick plays, everything that's in this rack is going to dip out. So we can start with this last chop that I did, and I'm not sure if you guys noticed that it was the chop, but I layered part of the chop together, so the first part sounds like this, and then the second part sounds like this. And then all together, it sounds like this. One thing to note is a strategy to sort of getting a chop like that fades in and out is using this smooth bleeding declicking mode. It makes the clip sort of look like this, so you can see that it fades in and fades out. I also added a couple extra vocal chops on top of that. And in this next section, I did use a different clap and some different perk sounds, as well as a new vocal chop, and I'll play it here. And on top of those drum sounds, I did have some ambience, so I have this rain loop and this nice little perk loop, and it sounds like this. So all the drums together sounds like this. Also, the last 8 bars of the song have this cymbal-like sound. I also got a new 808 pattern that sounds like this. and the kick will follow this pattern. So for the melody of the B section, I have these chords. So to make this sound, I once again brought out 3x OSC and have a noise filter along with 24 in the chorus and high quality on. And then one thing that's important is I have this pitch amount set to 1% along with the speeds 17% and a 31% attack time. So this is what puts that little wavering pitch effect onto it. One thing to note is that even though the chords do sound quiet here, it's important to remember that this is sort of like a nice pad for the background, and we're going to be adding sounds on top of it, which is why I like to leave chords like these pretty quiet in the background. Then next I have these nice arps. To make these arps, I just have a sine wave again from 3x OSC, and then I have the release knob up higher, so then it takes a while for the sound to go away. So the next I have these LFO chords. And so to make this is just a default sine wave with this filter on, and the cutoff has an LFO knob pointing to this little pattern right here. And the thing to note, there is a rate of 1/4. So basically it's doing this LFO pattern for each fourth of the measure. So then I also have this delay sound here. This is quite literally just the default 3x OSC with delay on it. And by the end of the song, we have this nice delay like pluck right here. And this is how I made the sound using the coarse and init knobs, as well as no attack and small release with a little bit of delay added onto it. Finally, I have this bit crushed sine wave sound that sounds like this. I just have this patcher plugin, and I can choose crusher, and I can bring it up to here, and depending on where you put it, it's going to sound different. So then by the end of the song, it sounds like this, and it also has a nice fade out. And the fade out, I basically just put an automation clip on the master knob right here. And for the intro, I faded in with the master knob again, and I just really thought it'd be cool if I started with the I need dope part before it hit, and then the pattern continued, so.
I like heroin, I need dope, I need dope, I need dope.
And also for the master, all I did was add a Fruity Soft clipper on it. The fresh air wasn't used, and this EQ was just used after the battle to increase the volume levels, just so it's a little bit louder on SoundCloud. So that's about it for the breakdown, and I want to say thank you guys for all the support and kind words after the battle. I really appreciate all of you, and I'm just going to go ahead and play the song until the end.
I like hard drugs. I like heroin, I need dope, I need dope.